Good morning, everybody. This is Martin John, and I am here to present Tao of the Day, as I wont do. I'm just opening up my Tao so that we can share my translation of the Tao Te Ching. I'm currently writing an app for Tao of the Day so that you'd be able to choose the number that you want and get both the text and notes um, as well as recordings that I made here on Wisdom. Nancy's gonna join me for Tao of the Day this morning. I think this might be the first time we're reading my translation with Nancy. Nancy, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I didn't even know you had a translation. So look at that. Something just said he's on go.
Yeah, here we are.
Okay, bye. No, I'm kidding. That's
So how have you
exciting.
been?
I'm a little crazy, but I'm doing good.
Hmm.
Walking down the street that is clear. It's a completely clear path.
Oh, good.
Yep.
Uh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I can see the road ahead. I don't know if you ever watched the show Highway to Heaven.
yeah.
And you know how in the intro he's always walking down that path, that
Mm-hmm.
street.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what I pictured.
Okay. Well, it's a good place to be. Sometimes it can feel lonely there.
I don't know if I'm lonely because what I feel is I think I was lonelier following what was there.
Yeah.
It's
No,
kind of
that's
it's kind of like accepting a relationship just because I don't want to be alone, which I don't do. Um,
right. Yeah.
it's that's a very lonely place to be.
It is. It is.
No, I feel like I feel like there's something really good on the horizon. I really, really do.
I'm glad to hear that. Well, let's see. Let's see if Dow can help us kind of find anything or help us focus on something.
That'd be great. Number two sticks with me.
Number two. So number two is I titled "Identifying the Manifestation." Let me kind of turn off edits here. Um, okay, identifying the manifestation. Opposites exist amongst the particular. Identifying the beautiful creates the ugly. Identifying the good creates evil. Identifying the particular separates all manifestations. Reality and fantasy are opposing thoughts. Difficult and easy are opposing degrees. Long and short are opposing perceptions of time or space. Because of this, the master doesn't rely on words. She teaches by being without explanation. In this way, she is most helpful. She inspires all things to be without rejecting them. She gives them life but refuses to possess them. Her actions spring forth from perfection. They are not hers to own, thus, they will never be forgotten.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. What are some of your
Um,
thoughts?
to me, what I heard for me
Mm-hmm.
is that it's first of all the road that I just stepped onto is perfect
Yeah.
because there's no way to be able, and I know this, but there's no way to be able to change anybody or any situation.
Right.
Only from within. Identifying is sometimes limiting when
Always. Yeah.
yeah, when I'm identifying for the desire for change. But if I'm identifying for the simplicity of saying it's a beautiful thing, then and I know what beauty is, it's the calmness of the heart,
Mm-hmm.
then it gets magnified into that
Yeah.
reality. And I don't have, like right now, I don't have an expectation of what's next. I don't think that what's happening is wrong. I just know that if I stayed in it, it would be magnified. And I
Mm.
can't do that anymore. This is a complete circle that I'm in right now, and I'm so thankful I see that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's interesting in this line, like because of this idea that opposites exist, and if we identify, if we utilize identity as like, this is one thing, this is another, this is good, this is bad, whatever. Once we recognize that we don't want to identify and that opposites exist amongst the particular, the master doesn't rely on words, and you just kind of hear. And it's like, well, if I tried to explain it, I would have to start to identify it with something good or bad or right or wrong. But this just is what it is, and I don't have to rely on words, um, and I don't have to explain it. I can just allow this to be.
Hmm. And see, what's been happening with me on certain situations is that I want to understand what's happening because there's something I'm missing in my part. And I've come to realize that that's a very um big, I won't say big, but it's a very broad thought process that in order to have it, I'm not going to be able to get the answers because I'm in a small thought. So I'm going to continue attracting in and magnifying the small. So
Yeah,
letting it go, it's like I wouldn't be able to hear your words of what you're saying right now if I wasn't in that broader perspective of heart.
yeah,
It'd be really easy to blame what's going on with me, and it always makes me grossed out because what's my part? And my part is always in it because I'm in the one on the playing field. Otherwise, it wouldn't be in front of me. Part of
yeah.
my life. It's just part of my life.
Yeah, and as we start this one off, opposites exist amongst the particulars. So once you start to magnify one thing, its opposite gets magnified as well.
Right. And that's interesting. That's so cool you say that because what just popped into my head is that's the greatness of it.
Right.
Because unless because like with me, I'm looking at what I don't want simply to find what I do want, but don't magnify what I don't want because what I do want is being magnified by the acceptance of who I am and what I'm doing in my part.
Right.
Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
And
And then is it continues, identifying the beautiful creates ugly, identifying good creates evil. And so, when we start to magnify and when we start to focus and we start to do all those things, and what we're doing is identifying the particular, particular things. You're identifying particular things, and what I hear you saying is to try
mm-hmm,
and step back and not identify and focus on anything particular, but
mm-hmm.
allow the things that are to be.
Right. And the reason that my system has a challenge with this, and my mind has a challenge with this, is because I'm walking into it's like the vision I had was everything about what you think you know is not real right now. There's nothing because I go back into the familiar
Right.
and there's nothing familiar in my world, and if I continue doing that I will continue to feel the pull that I'm pulling away from myself, and that's not what I want to do anymore. That's not who I am.
Yeah, and that's interesting, because as you say that, like we move into the line, reality and fantasy are opposing thoughts,
Yes.
right? And there's no difference between the two. They're opposing. Like when you define something as real, then something else becomes fantastical. And now what you're trying to do is kind of lean into maybe what would be considered from the old mind fantastical. You're trying to lean a little bit more into that because so that you can balance the scale.
It's interesting you say that because I've heard so much, especially on this platform, about and it's all over the place, but we all talk. So it's about, go back to when, or pick a good thought or whatever, part of your life. And I'm like, that's a deep search, man. It's not
Yeah.
worth it. It's not worth it. Not to
Okay.
me.
Yeah. I've
I
always I've always found that to be, a little cheap. So,
yeah, you know what? To me, it's hurtful. Isn't that interesting? It's very
yeah.
hurtful because then I start realizing how much I destroyed in my heart, and I'm not destroying as a drama, just destroyed in my heart,
Yeah.
turned
Hmm.
off, whatever, shut down in order to survive. And I don't want to think, and I have friends who do, which we don't discuss stuff. I don't want to be that person because I'm an uplifter. I'm an empower. I'm a person of love and appreciation. And I don't want to have to grasp onto something. Yes, I know that I'm a great person and I know I was a really fun kid outside of my home. So, no. That's all I
Yeah.
got is no. It's like I say yes to me and no to trying to bring something back from the past.
Yeah,
No.
because you are now, right? Like there is
No,
no like
yeah,
yeah.
and there's no gain to me to think about what I used to have.
Yeah.
And I know that that's a process that some people really gain from, but it hurts me, Martin. It hurts
Mm,
me bad. And I'm like, I'm not even going to go. Why can't, like you said, why don't we just look at now? I want to bring out the magnificence of people today. I want people to
right.
feel how amazing. I know that's what you're doing. That's why I'm saying this. I want
Hmm.
people to feel how amazing they are today because of yesterday, but today.
Right.
And to walk that path and this thing that I'm allowing to let go in my back is I can't even describe to anybody what I'm feeling and make it sound almost invigorating and exciting. And that would be wonderful if I could, because this is life in session. This is life going forward. But it's not wrong that that this thing is, and I can't even define what it is, but I'm
Hmm.
very familiar with it.
Yeah.
And I'm just really feel blessed that I have been able to be me and see me as me. And that's all that's important to me. Because people always want me to explain what's going on.
Yeah, and that's where we come into this next section. Because of this, the master doesn't rely on words. She teaches by being without explanation. In
And
this
that's new.
way, she is the most helpful.
Right. And that's very new for me. But and I get what you're saying. It's about what my phase is right now is about sharing me, my world, and it's going to be sharing that comes through me. And once that's processed through, then I'll see where I'm going. But I'm not going to explain my world anymore because I've been explaining it for years. But right now, I just want to do it the way it is because I know if I say things, it's going to offend, and there's no offense at all. Um, if there's just something really I came up with a new title of myself, so that's pretty cool for me to express who I am to myself.
Yeah,
And because I'm a new thought leader, so there's nothing everything's going to be new. And
yeah,
that's so awesome because I was so afraid as a kid to be different. But there was
hmm,
no way for me not to be different because I look at my family today and the dynamics of all of it. And I'm like, I stood there, leaned on my wall yesterday in my house, and I went, wow, I've never belonged for a reason, and there's nowhere to go with them. Wow, that
right.
actually feels good. Whoa,
Yeah.
and it's a peaceful thing. So the world I'm in
As
right
this,
now, Martin John, there's nothing familiar. Go ahead.
yeah, as this continues, she inspires all things to be without rejecting them. She
Yes.
gives them life, but refuses to possess them.
Yep.
And I think that that's something that, you know, when we were younger, like people wanted to possess us. They wanted us to live under their influence. And when we grow out of that influence, what we end up starting to embrace is this idea that we want to inspire you to be who you are. And I don't want to dictate that. I don't even want to dictate who I am. I don't want to even like lean in on any identity that I might be holding on to.
And that's interesting you say that because the thought that just came to me when you were saying that is that's why that is and I why is the reason that it keeps coming. I mean, it keeps being told to me, share your world, just share your world, just share your world, just share your world. That's me not explaining me, it's simply sharing it,
Hmm.
which allows it to be invitational and engaging and all of that, to where I get to be the real without doing anything to be for anybody else,
Yeah.
so that those people will come to me of the same desire or whatever inside, and or whatever they're portraying it, they're looking for it, they want it. That's what I want to be in.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah. And this one just wraps up with something that you just said, more or less. Her actions spring forth from perfection. They are not her own. Thus,
Mm-mm.
they will never be forgotten. It's not like you are the doer here.
No, I'm the beer.
Yeah.
And I get to learn for myself and continue to share for myself,
Yeah.
because what's been created has just been shown was the preparation for my heart right now. So thank you.
Thank you. Um, I am. I have Frankie in line, but I know Kelly was ahead of him. So Kelly, if you're still there, um, please come up. I will give you a couple seconds before I bring Frankie up. But yeah. So okay, I did see you just clap. So I'm going to give you a second to come up. Um, Oh, she's got to reset her app. I'm going to take Frankie and then we will get to Kelly. It froze on her. She has to reset it. So we're going to take Frankie. Frankie, it's been a while. How you doing, man?
Martin John, it's been a minute. And how have you been, my friend?
Yeah, I've been good. I've been good doing my thing.
Yeah, I figured as much. I'm
Mhm.
recovering still from a horrible back surgery, so
Oh,
feeling better.
really?
Yeah, September 14th, I had 10 screws, a few spacers, just a typical everyday major surgery.
Yeah.
But
So are you still in bed?
um I'm not in bed anymore, but I can only sit up for like an hour before I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, time to lay down. But
Yeah.
I'm doing well.
Good.
Living alone makes it tough. However, I'm a strong guy and I've been through it. So it was just
How's the I mean, I'm assuming you're on painkillers.
actually I weaned myself off of them. I wasn't on that
Good.
many to begin with, and I didn't want to get all hooked up on them. So I as many years as I went without pain management and no painkillers, I figured, why can't I do it another 10 years?
Yeah.
So, I understand the epidemic out there, and I don't understand the high thing about it. I just understand there's an epidemic. I don't want to be part of that.
Good. Good.
However,
Good.
I'm doing well. I'm getting,
Good.
I'm getting back on my feet and starting to get a little more active again here on my, my shows, and that when you don't feel good, you don't want to get on your phone.
No, I get that. I get that. I
But
yesterday feel like that. So
yeah.
let's get a number and see what
Yeah, I got a good one. 11.
you have a good one. They're all good. Okay, so this one is entitled "Emptiness is Valuable." Spokes, tire, rim, and hub all make a wheel. Yet it is the space where the axle goes that makes it worthwhile. Clay is formed into a vessel. A vessel's function is to hold things, thus, its form includes emptiness. A house can be built, but if it were solid, it would be useless. It is easy to see structure, but structure is there to expose the value of emptiness.
Hmm, interesting. You always give me good ones. That's a good one.
That is a good one. So, like this one, like revolves around structure, right? Spokes, tires, rim, and a hub that all make a wheel. That's the structure. But it's useless if it doesn't have that space. And the clay is formed into a vessel, but a vessel's function is to hold things. Thus, its form includes emptiness. A house can be built, but if it were solid, it'd be useless.
Hmm.
So here we have like these two different things, structure and substance. Right? Substance is the space, structure is the is how we engage it, right? It is easy to
Yeah.
see structure, but structure is there to expose the value of emptiness.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's funny that you said the word hub because it was discovered that my bearing hubs on my front of my car just went bad. It's just
Ah,
weird. Yeah, it's weird that you said hub. Um, But yeah, that's a good one. I'm trying to figure out how to translate that in the way I understand it, because there's times where I feel empty. However, there is a structure there, and it's just waiting to be filled up
Well,
with, you know.
let's look at your back. Let's look at your back. Your
Sure.
body is the structure,
Right.
but you are the substance. You
Yeah.
might be in pain and you might have this experience right now where you can't move about, but that
Right.
doesn't take away anything from Frankie.
No, no, you're exactly right.
Unless unless you start looking at the structure, your body, as being a limitation, and then start to think that you have less substance
Hmm.
because of this experience, because of the experience you're currently going through, whether it's sadness or pain or frustration or, like even earlier when we were talking, you were like, it's hard to get on your phone. Well, so what? It's hard to get on your phone. You're still Frankie. Doesn't
Right.
matter. Doesn't matter if you're on your phone or if you're taking walks or if you're sitting up for 3 hours.
Correct.
You're still you. And are you able to see the value of your substance because you have been able to really engage your substance with your body, and now your body is being limited. Are you still able to see how substantive you are? Can you still see how much substance you provide the world just in being you?
Uh, that's a great question, and it's weird because I answered that about a week ago when I had some shows that were scheduled before my surgery was scheduled, and I had to you know keep my commitments to these pre-scheduled shows, and
Yeah.
I had to literally fight through 45 minutes of sitting up just to you know uh honor my commitments. So to answer that question, yeah, I am still who I am. I've always been a fighter. I've always been a survivor, if you want to use that word, and I know what my value is. I just, instead of calling it, I call it more of a limitation, more of an inconvenience, I guess. My back surgery, it was more of an inconvenience. I, I didn't realize the pain I would be in post surgery,
Yeah.
but when I was in it, I was like, "Oh my god, I'm not gonna ever be able to move again." But then I just kept fighting and did the Rocky Balboa thing, and I got through it. I got through the rough part. Now it's just following up and doing what I'm told to do by the orthopedic.
Well, I mean, that is your body. That's the structure of
Correct.
everything. Is and being a fighter might very much be part of the structure as well.
Hmm.
But can you see why you have a body?
I can.
Yeah.
I definitely can. I have a purpose, and it's weird because each and every day that goes by, I learn a little bit more about what my purpose is or what my purpose will be.
Hmm.
And when you're laying around living alone and you can't move, uh, TV gets old, and you have to start, you know, I don't want to say ruminate because that's kind of a bad thing to do, but I
You
had a
need to
lot of
sit
time.
quiet.
Yeah, I just had a lot of time to think and understand things more. And
Well, I don't know that that's only you because I think that really what's happening in the world right now is we're getting sick of content.
true, yeah, good point.
I think we're getting sick of stuff because it's everywhere.
Yes,
And and the more and this kind of goes to emptiness as well. Um it's so empty. All of the
yeah,
stuff is empty no matter what it is. Even this conversation is empty. Like this is just more shit.
yeah. I have to agree with you because for me, going through these menus of different shows and different content and all that, it all seems to kind of muffle into one big pile.
One big
And
pile of fucking steaming shit.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to take away from anybody's
No,
talent
no,
on
no. I
what they
mean, I'm
do.
putting myself in that category. I make
Eh,
stuff, and as I make stuff, it's increasingly losing value because there is
sure.
just more and more stuff out there. There was a time 20 years ago where making something was enough.
Right.
But now it's so easy to make stuff. Look, I'm making a podcast right now. I'm recording it and I'm going to put it out on fucking Spotify and then people can listen to it that they won't. Why? Because it doesn't matter.
That's funny you say
Right?
that. Yeah, because you actually had to put work into it 20 years ago to make it happen, whereas
Right now
now
it's just like anybody can
push a
do
button.
anything.
Correct. And
You
that's
know,
where you got
and
to
look, it's all
separate
free,
yourself.
right? Like I
Yeah.
even get paid to have listeners here, right? Like however little, like they pay me, but it's just like I'm on here. I'm not special, just like you're not special, and we're doing all this stuff. And it is easy to see structure. Look, I'm doing something. I'm doing something. But structure is there to expose the value of emptiness.
Mm, yeah, that's a great point. It's like having a 10-bedroom house and you're a single person, really.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, no, it's funny because I made this comment to, I can't remember who it was, that anybody and everybody can tap a button and be live and say they're doing a podcast. I
that's
mean,
right.
is it really a podcast though? Is it really
Who
something that's
cares?
going to add value to
Does it have
anything?
any value? And
Right.
maybe it does to somebody, and good. But with the added incentive of thousands upon thousands upon tens of thousands of people starting podcasts every fucking day, like, is there any value in any of it? I mean, eventually you have to just concede that there isn't value in it anymore. Not that there wasn't, but all of this stuff, right? Like,
Hmm.
we are looking at the product, we are looking at the structure. We are
Yeah.
looking at the spokes, tire, rim, and hub. We're looking at the podcast, the words being said, and all of that. But there is no celebration of the emptiness. And
No,
it
there's not.
itself
That's
is
crazy.
lacking in value because there is no celebration of the space. There is no room for space. There is no space anymore.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I'd have to share my opinion that it's just so full right now that eventually it's going to run its course.
It's yeah, and like I said this months ago, if
Yeah,
not a year ago, that like we have reached the beginning of the end of art. And
you're
art
right.
meaning everything. Art meaning painting, music, fucking talking, fucking
Hmm.
like all of this is garbage. And it's
Well,
all what we would consider ephemeral. And it's all just going to be junk mail.
yeah, because I always wonder recently what happened to a genuine person to person, no phones involved, authentic, organic conversation. It
And
doesn't
and
exist anymore.
and what about just like even before language was a thing? Like, what about the energetic exchange? Like, that's gone too, because we want to prove that we're having exchanges by getting on the Wisdom app, and not, no, no, nothing against Wisdom, nothing against Instagram, nothing against the world as a, as a bunch of creators creating a bunch of garbage. That's what we do right now. And
Correct.
we'll come out of that and we'll step up. But right now, essentially we've built a solid house. We've built a house where there's no way in. It's just a facade.
Correct. Yeah.
And that's what we're saying here is like we have left out the space for the axle to go to make the wheel worthwhile. We have left out a vessel's function is to hold things. Like and all that we're doing when we create stuff is like most people just hope to sell advertising.
Yeah.
It's
It's all
like
about
wait, like
monetization.
yeah, it's all about monetizing. I'm gonna sell ads. It's like
Yeah.
that is your highest good is to sell ads. This is what creation has turned to sell ads. And that's we have created a structure in order to sell ads rather than creating a structure to expose the value of emptiness, to expose the value of stillness, to expose the value of that substance.
What a great point. What a great point. And I say that with passion because I'm always wondering what can I do instead of being part of the mass? What can I do as an individual being myself because everyone's different? What can I do? What can I say? What can I put out there as far as content that's going to add value to somebody? Even if it's one person, two, three, whatever. What can I put out there that will be added value to somebody listening to what I'm doing? Because quite frankly, I can scroll through this app or any other social audio platform, and truthfully, within 3 or 4 or 5 seconds, I'm like, "Yep, bye, swipe." So
Mm-hmm.
there's no structure to some of these people or content
Well,
creators. I'll
it's a
call them.
structure. It's a structure, but there's no substance. The
Correct,
structure
correct.
is their just like mine. The structure is just the forever like string of words that we put together to
Yeah.
try
Uh,
and sell ads or whatever it is that
Yeah, it's fading, and it's sad because social audio could be so much better and so much more valuable to people. But I think people are using it more as a conversational thing right now, just to
It's
have
fine,
human
and
contact, and that's
I'm not
good.
picking on anything. Thank you so much for coming up, Frankie. I love you. I hope you have a great day. All right. Julie is here. I'm missing Kelly once again. Kelly, where'd you go? Hey, Julie, how you doing?
I'm all right. I think Kelly might have just popped off to find herself a space to enjoy.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
That's good. I hope she did. It's
Yeah,
all.
she's lovely. She's lovely.
Yeah.
Um, I was going to say to you, I was really interested in listening to you and Frankie J.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, that was kind of like a space there that you created and filled.
Well, I've been, like I've been seeing more and more, both as I am quiet and when I'm, not,
Mm.
that everything that we have leaned so heavily into structure, um, that we're missing all substance.
Yeah,
You know.
I would agree with that. I think the structure almost now for us is providing what we're not looking for.
Right. And we keep looking at the structure thinking it's going to
Provide.
give us something that we're looking for, and it just keeps ending up being empty. Like the
Exactly.
structure is empty. It's not like it's filled. It's like in this verse 11, a house can be built, but if it were solid it would be useless. And I think that's what we're doing with structure, right? Like we're
Mm.
we're filling every moment, because it's like we tell people, well, the average adult attention span's 2.5 seconds. Okay, so we have to work at placing a
Within that,
joke or placing an engagement every 2.5 seconds until.
creating parameters for
Yeah,
ourselves.
within, and so we're filling it, filling it, filling it, filling it, filling it with no space to rest, no space to integrate, no space to be still with myself. It's like I'm constantly being barraged by more and more and more stuff, and more ads, and
Mm.
more, like garbage information, and anger points, and all of these things. And it's like I can't keep doing that. I have to be quiet.
Yeah, I'd agree.
So do you have
I
a number for me?
totally agree. I do. I'm going to pluck one out of the space that is. Are you ready?
Yeah,
Hold the line is coming. 46, it said to me.
interesting. When you said I'm going to pluck one out of the air, I wrote down 36, so I was 10 off.
Not bad.
No, not bad. I do that for everybody. It's just when they start thinking, I pick a
I wanted
number.
to be special.
Yeah, you're good.
Anyway,
Okay,
cool.
this one is entitled "Knowing When to Stop." So that's
Mm.
a that's good. When Tao is followed, shelter, food, and water are prioritized. Going counter to Tao war, excess, and hoarding are praised. He who believes there isn't enough is cursed to never have enough. He who believes he must acquire will acquire nothing that lasts. There is no greater waste of time or energy than being discontent. Therefore, the master knows what is enough and is content to stop there.
Nice.
And I think that really contributes to what we were talking about, this idea that there's more and more and more and more and more stuff. And we look at people who just like check out, just like that's enough. And
Yeah.
and it is enough. We look at all the content that's being produced out there right now. It's like that's enough. Let's just stop producing this stuff for a minute. Like if we were to let it all like fall, all of the content that's been created over the last 20 years probably matches all of the content that was created in all of time up till that point 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And if we could just like recognize that like there is a time to stop.
It's almost like saying that you are, as people, we tend to, at the moment, rehash the same ingredients in faster and faster speed. The ingredients are the ingredients, no matter how we put them together, but we are spending our time creating this rehash, 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 reword, refeel, everything. But
Mm-hmm.
it is what it is. No matter whether we try and rehash it or not, whether we soak it in or not, it still just is. And that is when we understand it's time to stop.
Yeah.
That's the time to stop, when you notice it. I think there's a lot to be said about noticing, Martin John. It's one of those
Yeah.
little gifts that you gave me a long, long
Yeah.
time ago that has seen me through so much.
These first two lines really kind of are interesting. When Tao is followed, shelter, food, and water are prioritized. Going
Mm,
counter to Tao, war, excess, and hoarding are praised.
mm,
If we look at the world today and we can definitely say that excess is being praised, whether it's excess information or excess money or hoarding money. And even here in the States, people are hoarding weapons and people are hoarding all sorts of stuff. And there's definitely a lot of excess. And the United States has been the home of excess
mm,
for, you know, 70 years at least.
mm.
And we don't we don't prioritize food. We look at places like Skid Row and we don't provide shelter and we don't, like these things that would be prioritized if we were to follow Tao are definitely not what's being prioritized.
Mm.
But what's being prioritized is excess. Let's give the rich more. Let's let's
It's
argue
awful, isn't it?
more.
Because the
Let's yeah.
basics of what you need to be alive.
Yeah.
So, food and shelter and warmth are the things that will keep you functioning in the live state.
Yeah.
And who is to say that one person in comparison to another person is more deserving of that?
Mhm.
That's the thing. It's gone completely out of the lid and overflowing, like you said, where
Yeah.
the major thought and essence of all are to excess. Because
Yeah.
excess is the word for success. To be seen as successful means you have more than you need
Yeah.
when there's no need.
There is an idea that it's just like I have enough in the coffers that I can do whatever I want whenever I want.
Mm,
And it's like, well,
you can do that anyway.
you can do whatever you want whenever you want if you work within, if you recognize that you have to work within the limitations that you're given.
Yeah.
We
And
all
don't,
have,
yeah.
we all are born, and we, like the Tao talks about having to complete oneself. And to complete oneself, you allow others to, you allow yourself to learn from the experiences that you've had.
Mm,
When you do that, you can recognize that you are able to work within limitations. As an artist, every medium has a limitation.
mm,
Painting, there's a limit. Sculpture, there's a limit. Printmaking, there's even more limits. There's all of these different kinds of limits set on every medium. But in order to communicate within any medium, you have to recognize, honor, and work within the limits.
mm.
Now, you can quote unquote work around the limits by just getting really good at working within the limits. So those don't have to be limits anymore. Like, those could be things that you see now as positives.
Yeah.
But life does that to us. We think that, oh, everything should be easy. No, that's not that's not the point. The point is to live this moment, whatever it is, sad or happy or frustrating, or like, be here with this and say, okay, the limit right now is that I'm sad and I have to go on anyway.
Yeah.
How do I work within that limit?
Notice it.
Yeah.
That's the
Notice
thing.
it.
Just notice it. I'm
Just
ill.
notice it.
I'm ill at the moment. I'm living
Yeah.
in it.
Are
It's
you
fine.
still ill,
Yes.
girl?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm still battling. That
You
structure of mine is kicking ass to this virus.
know.
And I'm just sitting within this structure, watching it all play out.
Yeah. And when
There's,
you could do that, you just end up being here
yeah,
as you are.
I'm
And
experiencing
like, you
it.
don't have to try and fight the limit.
No,
And that's knowing when to stop.
yeah, what will be, will be. It's one of my
That's
favorite
right.
things
Yeah.
to say. It's one of my favorite thoughts to hold. It is what it is.
Yeah. And right now you're prioritizing shelter, food, and water.
Yes.
He who believes there isn't enough is cursed to never have enough. He who believes he must acquire will acquire nothing that lasts.
Yeah.
When you go out of your way to get things, to have things, to acquire things, those things very quickly lose their shine.
Yeah, because you then possess.
And
And
then, right,
having is nowhere near a feeling as strong as requesting, wanting, desiring. Having is
right,
a different feeling, isn't it?
right.
That's why it
And
loses
then you're
its
just going to
shine.
want something else afterward.
Yes,
You're
yes.
just going to move on and want something. Look, I got that. Now I'm going to move on to something else. That's why when
Yeah,
I was mentioning earlier, you can go around and say, I want what I want. And it's like, yeah, but if you worked within the limitations and recognize that you have what you want right now, and that you
yeah,
are able to do everything that you want to do right now, if you're able to see that, even within the limitations that you feel like you are under,
yeah,
then you will see how abundant you're living in every moment, everywhere. And it won't be to acquire that space, because there's nothing to acquire. You're in that space right now. You
yeah.
won't possess it, but it's yours to grab at any moment.
We never possess it.
No.
That's the whole point.
And when we do, when we believe we do, it loses all importance. It
Mm,
loses all of its magic. It loses all of its specialness.
yeah. Stopping is a great place.
Yeah.
Stopping is peaceful. And
There's
it's,
gone.
yeah, it's great. I love
There's
it.
no greater waste of time or energy than being discontent.
Absolutely. What a way to fill that empty vessel. Discontent. Even just saying it, discontent. What it brings up in you, that
Yeah.
is, you don't want that.
It's putrid, you know? It's sick.
Yeah.
Discontent as a word. Therefore, the master knows what is enough, and is content to stop there.
Yeah.
What is enough? Do we know what is enough? Like, can we be content right now, knowing that this, whatever this is enough right now?
I am perfectly happy because my imagination and my drive and all of the other things that make me me, they don't know what the second moment's going to hold.
Yeah.
So I'm taking this one right now
Yeah.
as being enough.
This one is enough, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Mm. Knowing when to stop. That was 46. Thank you so much, Julie. I love you.
Pleasure. Love you. Bye bye.
Bye-bye. All right. Unless Kelly comes back up, I think I'm going to cut it off there. Kelly, if you're still out there, come on up. If not, we'll talk again soon. Thank you so much for joining me for Tao of the Day. I'm Martin John. If you are interested in sending me a little tip, you can do so at on Venmo at @MartinJohn_Garcia, or you can do it on my link tree here in my profile here on Wisdom. Thank you, Frankie, Nancy, and Julie. I appreciate you guys coming up. We covered 3 wonderful chapters, and I will definitely be back probably tomorrow. I can't imagine I won't be back tomorrow. And yeah, yesterday I took a day off because I knew when enough was enough, and I needed to stop yesterday. So thank you so much. I love you guys, and until next time, keep recovering yourself.